Welcome, beautiful people of all ages, shapes, and colors, to another episode of the Hit Your Free Throws podcast, where we encourage you to stick to the basics. I'm one of your co-hosts, TV, aka TV on basketball, alongside my co-host Jay, aka the Knockdown Jay. How's it going, my guy?
Bro, it is going great. We're on part 2 of 21 questions. Jrue Holiday already traded. Didn't expect that one. We got a lot to talk about today, bro. The offseason, we getting into training camp now? Oh, buddy, bro. Like, everything is speeding up. It's looking excellent in the NBA.
Yes, we are, and we're getting closer and closer to the NBA season. We are now like 3 weeks away, which is absolutely crazy. You already know we're going to be coming out with the content, and it's going to be going off when the season starts. So make sure you follow us along on our journey. It's going to be a crazy season for the Hit Your Free Throws pod. And of course, today's episode is going to be crazy. Like he mentioned, we're talking Jrue Holiday trade. We're doing part 2 of the 21 questions, and we got a crazy draft and quiz for you today as well. You already know that those stuff absolutely go off in these episodes, and it's going to be another awesome one today. But before we get into all of that, we do have to plug our socials. Make sure you follow our individual socials at TV on Basketball, at the Knockdown J. Those links can be found in the description below. And in terms of the Hit Your Free Throws podcast, remember to follow us for the best daily NBA content on TikTok and Instagram. 4 episodes left of the 2K universe. 2 months later, we finally reached the 2023-2024 season. We've made it 20 years down the line, and we're going to be capping it off this week, so you don't want to miss any of those episodes. If you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you will not miss an episode. We're doing 1 a week right now, but when the NBA season comes out, you're not going to want to miss out the page because we're going to be starting to pump out the content. Yes, and then in terms of the podcast networks, Spotify and Apple, leave a review, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's another place where if you don't want to watch the videos, you can also catch them on any of those networks. Jay, there's a lot to talk about today. Are you ready to get into this?
Yeah, man. As we get close to the NBA season, I'm getting high, TV.
It is. And we got another trade to talk about. Last week we talked Damian Lillard, who, funnily enough, Jrue Holiday was part of that trade, but he's on the move once again as Jrue Holiday has been traded from the Portland Trail Blazers to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Malcolm Brogdon, Time Lord Robert Williams III, the 2024 first-round pick from the Warriors, and the 2029 unprotected pick from the Celtics. Who knows what happens with that pick? We'll have to wait and see. But, Jay, I'm going to throw it over to you. How do you feel? What are your initial thoughts on this trade?
Dude, I mean, first of all, shout out to the Portland Trail Blazers, right? I think that we spent a lot of time. Let's revert back to something that I think is really important. Once upon a time, me and you on this very podcast, before the trade happened, were very critical of one Washington Wizards. Why? Because of their lack of understanding the timeline around when it was best to move off of Bradley Beal, right?
Yeah.
What that ended up turning into was an extreme sell low point that facilitated a lot of movement and kind of ended in a way that we could say is better than some situations they could have went down the path of, but maybe not their best possible output. Coming out with Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole this offseason as the 2 biggest pillars of what they were able to do besides picking up Bilal Coulibaly and retaining Kyle Kuzma, right?
Yeah.
I think for Damian Lillard, who I think we would juxtapose the Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal situation pretty close together.
Yeah.
I think you can make a very strong case that the Portland Trail Blazers did a much better job in this situation of dealing their franchise player and getting the proper assets over the course of multiple trades, right? So it starts with moving Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks in a crazy 3-team trade that moves Jrue Holiday and DeAndre Ayton over to their team, right?
Yeah.
Infuse of talent at the front court spot, something they've been needing for a long time anyway. Shout out to Dame, who's probably like sick that now the big man rotation looks as solid as it does now.
Yeah.
But they get DeAndre Ayton, who's still a young center on his second contract, and you get a real trade chip in Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
You flip Jrue Holiday into another big-time big man and another flippable point guard in Malcolm Brogdon.
They're just going down the ladder.
Just go down the list, right, and stretch this out and attain picks and attain young talent. And they've really made a good good situation out of it, right? Not to mention they have Shaedon Sharpe. They have Anthony Simons. Some may not like the way the Jeremy Grant contract looks right now. Yeah. But around the trade deadline, backsides get tight. Things start getting sweaty around the front office, and you got to make a move. Jeremy Grant might look a little bit more enticing to a championship caliber team around the trade deadline. Malcolm Brogdon, same thing. You could maybe rehabilitate some of his trade value after being a guy who typically, has been on and off in terms of injury history and things like that. There's a lot to like, bro, about their situation. And the funny part is, like we just mentioned a second ago, they might not be done. Like the Dame asset is still in motion. So like from the Portland Trailblazers aspect of this, 10 out of 10 jobs so far in the way they're making this whole thing work, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, we talked about the Portland Trail Blazers. I want to give a round of applause to Joe Cronin because not only is he like getting really good assets, but honestly, he's looking out for the player. Damian Lillard, you want to you're the best player in our franchise's history. We're not going to send you to some meddling team who doesn't have a chance at a championship. No, we're going to send you to the best possible scenario for you. We're going to get our assets in return, but we're going to send you to that best possible scenario. Jrue Holiday, we understand, your love for Milwaukee. We took you out of there, but we'll put you in another great position to be with a Boston Celtics team to compete for a championship. And by doing that, you also get a massive haul for both those guys. You get, I think, 4 or 5 first-round picks, 2 or 3 pick swaps, which is already crazy in and of itself. You get Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, too many cameras, and DeAndre Ayton. It's a pretty damn good haul. And like you mentioned, it's not even done. Malcolm Brogdon could be traded. I mean, we already know, the Clippers were in for Malcolm Brogdon this season. Maybe hit them up at the trade deadline. It's funny how they keep moving down the tier ladder. I mean, who's next? Kyle Lowry? That might be the next move down the ladder. But at the same time, great move from the Trailblazers. And like you mentioned, that they're not done. I want to talk about the Celtics, though.
Okay.
The Celtics probably have the best 6-man core in the league now. When you think about it, you probably have the best defensive backcourt in basketball with Derek White and Jrue Holiday. You still got both the Jays, Jalen and Jason Tatum. You got Kristaps Porzingis. You got Al Horford. Man, I don't think there's a better 6-man unit than that in the league right now, which is the perfect response to what the Milwaukee Bucks did. They knew that Damian Lillard might put them over the top in the NBA Finals, odds and whatever. Why not get the guy that locked him down in 2018 as a member of the New Orleans Pelicans in Jrue Holiday? You basically, when you look at this lineup, it's very similar to what they had last year. Difference is you upgraded from Marcus Smart to Jrue Holiday. You have to get rid of some locker room guys, but those are the sacrifices you have to make. We talked about the Bucks going all in. I love that the Celtics are going all in as well. You know that the competition is going to be there. There's going to be, if they end up going to the conference finals to get against each other, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And it just looks like a fantastic all-around team. And unlike the Milwaukee Bucks situation for Jrue Holiday, he is not expected to be a top scoring option for that team. At the very, on a good day, he's going to be number 3 because you already know the 2 Jays got number 1 and 2 every single night. On a bad day, he's number 4 because Kristaps Porzingis, you already know, can be a 20 and 10 guy when he's on the court. So you're asking one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, less of an offensive role, focus more on the defensive end, and he can still have the ability, as shown in the Milwaukee Bucks, to be a creator for himself and for others. I think this is an absolute W for the Celtics. You say it's great for the Trailblazers. I think it's an absolute win for the Celtics as well.
I think you make a great point, and I think as you look along the way all of this has transpired, shout out to the chess match between the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference right now.
Right?
Last season, regular season wise, right? You see that the Celtics make the first initial move. Let's go get Kristaps Porzingis. We lack shot creation at the center position. Al Horford and Robert Williams both have so health history, right? Especially with Al Horford getting up in age. He's always big ups when it's time to go play against Joel Embiid or ready to go play up against Giannis Antetokounmpo. But that's him kind of, putting the big boy 7-game series. But over the course of a regular season, you can't rely on Al Horford to be playing 30-plus minutes a game, right? Same thing with Robert Williams. He's always been on a bit of a pitch count, and the hardest thing about Robert has been that he hasn't been available at the times that it feels like the Celtics need him most, right? He's got a lot of upside, but it feels like when he can be the most impactful, that's when you feel his presence dissipate, right? I think one of the biggest things we talked about was 2 seasons ago in the finals. There was an argument to be made that before Robert Williams went down with injury, the Celtics had that series down pat because of his defensive pressure around the rim, right? Mm-hmm. Now let's bring it back to this. So Kristaps Porzingis gives you a little bit of an element of maybe a little bit of what Robert gives you, but also a little bit of the stretchability, right, from the format from the 4-5 spot. Something that they haven't really had a lot of consistency from. Mm-hmm. How does Milwaukee respond? They make sure they bring the guys back. Let's get Chris back. Let's make sure that Brook Lopez, coming off of second place in the DPOY race, they bring them back, right? They go ahead and they position themselves solid to be able to make sure that the core guys are still there to make another run at it.
Yeah.
Then, remember, the Celtics have moved off a big-time player in terms of their culture in Marcus Smart, right? How does the Milwaukee Bucks build on bringing their guys back? They grab one of the best offensive creators in the NBA. Something that I kept hearing a stat about was that when Damian Lillard was healthy, he was able to drag the Portland Trailblazers to an offensive rating of 120. Now, for people who don't understand the concept around that, that is like top tier offensive output on a game-to-game, season-to-season basis. And he was doing that with Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant for a short pitch count, Yusuf Nurkic at the center position, right? It's not many other shot creators on that Portland Trailblazers team, yet they were a top 5 offense when Damian Lillard was healthy last season. Now you give him to the Bucks, right?
Yeah.
So we continue down this weird avalanche. Now the Bucks bring the gang back and they get one of the top point guards in the league. The Celtics say, dang, we just got rid of our best stopper on the perimeter. Arguably, right? At the end of the day, I think Derek White is a big-time defender, but Marcus Smart is the DPOY, or let's at least walk around the mystique of the fact that he's a former Defensive Player of the Year. He is one of our better guys on the perimeter in terms of defending a guy like Damian Lillard. So what do we go? We flip the whole script on the Bucks end of things. We're going to go grab your guy. Let's go get Jrue Holiday, who not only has been in the Milwaukee Bucks system, but statistically has been one of the best one-on-one on-ball guards, not just in the league, TV, specifically against a guy like Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
The stats between Jrue Holiday when guarding Damian Lillard, it ain't that great for Dame if you actually dive into the numbers. Don't get me wrong, Dame's going to do his, but Jrue Holiday has been one of the best on-ball defenders against Damian Lillard in the league. So this chess match between the two top teams in the Eastern Conference, it's a back and forth. And the question is, who's going to guard Giannis? But then the response is, but who's going to deal with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? And then you go down the pecking order of both teams, and you got to get to like the 6th or 7th or 8th guy before you start really poking holes in these teams. It's great to see the fact that these teams are, like you said, I think a great way to phrase it. These teams are all in on trying to win a championship. We saw it with the Phoenix Suns. They were one of the first teams to swing and see what they could hit, and they landed on freaking KD. Flip it again, landed to Bradley Beal. Like, we're seeing these big swings around the NBA, and it's making these teams just super exciting to theorize about, and it's going to make it even cooler when we get to see them on the floor. Man, I don't know who gave Ronnie 2K the controller, but boys is playing my team in the front office. I'm serious.
Yeah, man, these trades have been absolutely crazy, and it feels like the teams that we want to see them take the risk on, they're taking the risk, and that's absolutely what you love to see. Before we move on to the 21 Qs, where do you think Robert Williams fits in this Trailblazer system? They already have DeAndre Ayton. It feels like them on both on the court at the same time just doesn't work. Are you cool with him being the backup big to this young rebuilding team?
So I think he can be the backup big, but I think something that might happen, bro, and like, you know, the theory is kind of a working one, so we'll see how it goes. But DeAndre Ayton has wanted to play the 4 since his time in Arizona. It's kind of the weird, like, Karl Anthony Towns effect, right? Which was what lured the idea of bringing in a Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? I think a similar situation could be said for DeAndre Ayton next to Robert Williams. Now, the biggest question is going to be whether or not DeAndre can shoot the ball. Because that's the biggest difference between Karl Anthony Towns wanting to play the 4 or like an Anthony Davis wanting to play the 4 versus like DeAndre Ayton, right? Is the ability to shoot the ball at a 35-36% clip from outside the paint. Because we know Robert Williams, he all restricted area. We know that. Big time lob guy, gonna hang around the basket, gonna be a dangerous threat around the rim at all times during the game on offense. If DeAndre Ayton is not able to step out 15, 20 plus feet and be able to knock down shots from out there, the spacing gets kind of struggling. And obviously, when you think about guys like Jeremy Grant, Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, guys who I think are going to be really good at putting pressure on the rim this year, you don't need all that clogging going on with those two big guys. So the congestion question is the biggest one on whether or not those two guys can play together. I think there's a world where it can happen, but it comes down to DeAndre Ayton. He sounds motivated. He sounds highly enthusiastic about this new opportunity. And on a team where there's not really a definitive guy yet, right? We know Scoot Henderson is the franchise. We know Shaedon Sharpe is like the darling of the team right now, right? Yeah. But there's no guy solidified right now in terms of being the go-to option. That can be a net negative, or it can be a positive in the direction of a guy like DeAndre Ayton, who's looking for a new spot in his career. And this gives him a real chance to maybe assert himself as that number one big we've kind of always theorized him as. It's going to start with kind of showing us a little bit of the skill set, though.
Yeah, we need to see that skill set. We need to see him be committed to making this potential partnership work. Like you mentioned, Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, maybe not Anthony Davis as much nowadays, but the three-point shot is extremely vital to playing at the 4 position. Yeah. It's something that wasn't like this 5, 6, 7 years ago, but this is where the league is going. And DeAndre Ayton being a mid 30% sort of three-point shooter to near 40% is going to be extremely, extremely important if you're going to make this partnership work. You just got to keep him honest. He just has to keep people honest, making sure that he's a threat. And if he's committed to doing so, then this partnership can work. Because unlike the Rudy Gobert-Karl Anthony Towns partnership, Rudy Gobert has to stay in the paint. Robert Williams is more of like a roaming type of center. Yes, he could be like a good rim protector like we've seen over the last few years in Boston, but he's a bit more mobile. He could switch a bit more. So there's a bit more flexibility at that position. DeAndre Ayton, as long as he can like give the space for Robert Williams on the inside to stand in the dunker spot, to be a lob threat, he can stay on the outside, maybe hit the occasional mid-range, because we know he's a good mid-range jumper. If he can hit that consistently, keep them honest from 3, it could potentially work, but we're going to have to see how it works on the floor. Honestly, I'm excited to see how this team's going to play out. I'm seeing them October 30th. I'm excited to see how they're going to do like fiddle around and see like what type of lineups they're going to put out there. And Chauncey Billups, man, you got to show us something, man. You got to show us something. You haven't been that great as a coach for the Portland Trail Blazers, and maybe you do better in a system where you're trying to grow a bunch of guys here. So let's see what he is able to do come next year. But yeah, those are the thoughts on the Jrue Holiday trade. Let us know down below what you guys think from the Celtics or Trailblazers side of things. We want to hear your thoughts on any of the topics we just discussed here. We're going to move on to the next topic. And we started this series last week as a way to preview the NBA series. We're going to be going into part 2 of the 21 Qs. We went through the first 7 questions last week, and we're going to hit you with the next 7 questions this week. We're not going to be talking about every NBA team, but we will be discussing these tough questions going in to this NBA season. Jay, are you ready to hear some of these questions? Are you ready to preview the season?
Yeah, man. We got a lot to talk about. There's still so much to get into. I'm glad for part 2. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. I am gonna start this off with an absolute heater. Jay, it's not the first question I put on the sheet, but we're gonna go to this one just so we can start off really quick.
Okay.
Who is the next star to request a trade? We've seen Dame go through it. We've seen the James Harden situation go through it. Even though he just reported the training camp today, he's still in the middle of a trade request. Who is next?
See, the key word about this is request, not really the next guy on the move.
Yeah.
But because I think the easy answer, if we were talking about request, I mean, if we weren't talking request, would be Karl Anthony Towns. We've had this conversation before in terms of how the money works and different things of that nature. Yeah. In terms of requesting the trade, though, That's where things get really interesting. And TV, this might be going out on a limb.
Yeah.
I'm probably super wrong, bro, but I think this might be the guy. I think Jimmy wants to know what's next.
Oh, jeez.
I gotta be honest. The dude came to media day on emo vibes. He was mad salty about the whole Milwaukee trade for Dame, which literally had him calling for tampering. Mind you, this is the same guy that plays for the Miami Heat who finessed and finagled the Kyle Lowry situation and got called up for tampering them dang selves, right? The same guy who's on a team that was pretty much positioned themselves to be an Eastern Conference juggernaut in the playoffs the last couple of seasons. And now the window, it looks like it's getting close. It seems like it's closing more and more every single day, man. And I think we went through this conversation when we talked about the Dame thing, right? The Miami Heat are the kings. If you give the Photoshop team any life, they will take it and run with it. Donovan Mitchell, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant. For God's sake, Thomas Bryant and Christian Wood have been photoshopped into Miami Heat jerseys. These guys can't land anybody that they tend to put in these positions, right?
Yeah.
And there comes a point. Tyler Hero has been in rumor for trades, but who possibly could they trade for now that Dame's off the market, right? Who's really enticing next? You look at with Bam Adebayo and the fact that, me and you came off of last season's playoffs pretty disappointed in the lack of offensive production by Bam because it seems like he's just the same guy who produces just enough, but not enough to be really dangerous in a playoff setting, right? And then we know that a Jimmy Butler-led team, no disrespect to him, because we've seen him make the finals twice, but at the end of the day, the Jimmy Butler-led team has a ceiling once it comes time to play for the Larry O'Brien. There comes a point where the Jimmy Butler ball runs out of gas, and they don't have another guy. And now, when you look at the quote-unquote best trade for assets they've had in the chamber, we all know what their hand is, right? It's almost like the Lakers Russ and 2 first-round picks thing, right? Like now we know what your best offer is, and it ain't that cute.
Yeah.
It ain't that cute. So the ceiling on the Miami Heat, they didn't bump their head on it. And granted, this has been playing in the finals 2 years, 2 different opportunities. You got to commend it for what it is. But the league is catching up, and it seems like these guys are only falling down the pecking order. So if we're talking about making requests, Jimmy Buckets might be that guy, bro, because he's gotta want to play for a chip, and he's gotta know this team isn't good enough to do it.
That goes on bulletin board material, bro. That is like we're keeping that up. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, in terms of requesting a trade, that is the big part. Jimmy Butler requesting a trade. I don't see it. I feel like he's more of the recruiter than the guy to request it. But we've seen him do it in the past. The 76ers let him go. He requested a trade from the Timberwolves. If Miami doesn't become aggressive enough, that is definitely going to be a possibility. I'm going to keep it a bit more tame, but I'm also going to go to your neck of the woods, Jay. I think Zach LaVine's going to request a trade this season.
Come on. Oh, okay. All right.
I think
He's
so.
starting the podcast spicy. All right. I got to hear this one.
Okay. We have to think about what are the factors into requesting a trade. If a team is combustible, the Chicago Bulls, they're either going to be a top 6 seed or they're going to be out of the play-in tournament. Expectations. It's not that people have expectations for them, but the Bulls have their own expectations, and they expect them to go deep into the playoffs, even though we probably don't think so either. And the results. The Chicago Bulls have not had some great results over the last few years. And Zach LaVine, being in the prime of his career, kind of dwindling away in Chicago. We've been discussing trade rumors about this man over the past 2 years now. At some point, he's got to be like, I got to be in a winning situation. There's going to be some teams who maybe are on the cusp. Maybe a team like who knows? Maybe a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder who have a bunch of assets and say, you know what? We have our young talent. Let's bring in another scoring option to help out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Zach LaVine. Who knows? Maybe that's some of the mentality of some of these other teams. But he is in a situation where he's still under contract for a couple years, and at this point, the Chicago Bulls look like they're sticking to the direction of competing for a championship, even though their talent clearly says that they are not ready for that, but they're committing to it. Does Zach LaVine look at this situation? They look maybe 20, 30 games this season, realize that they're not as good as they think they are, and maybe request a trade because he doesn't want to waste like the best years of his career going forward. Who knows? But I think in terms of the next star, a best player on a team, I'm sorry to tell you, bro, but Zach LaVine's might request a trade next.
I think when we're talking request a trade, you do have some validity to it, right? Bringing in Vucevic, as much as I think some people with the Bulls genuinely like Vuce, I don't know what his fit as part of this big three is. There were reports earlier that said that DeMar DeRozan and Arturas Karnisovas are in conversations about signing an extension, right? So that's kind of an upside, but obviously in conversation doesn't tell the whole story. Hopefully DeMar has some intel in terms of Zach LaVine, because I don't think he's going to re-sign with the Chicago Bulls if Zach LaVine is not a part of the group moving forward. So obviously that's huge as well. But you make a good point, and this is probably the most important point when trying to predict a guy who's going to request a trade.
Yeah.
When you think about the throwing a guy in trade conversations too frequently, that is something you have to worry about. We saw this with Malcolm Brogdon in a very lesser kind of situation where he was brought up in the trade with the LA Clippers that was supposed to be kind of a whole thing to still facilitate the Kristaps Porzingis trade, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of seemed like it was spurring a lot of issues internally, because it seemed like he didn't feel too good about the fact that as a guy who's in the Sixth Man of the Year conversation last year, he was on the trade block.
Yeah.
So for him to be moved, now granted, big time asset, so I think you do it if you're the Boston Celtics anyway. But I think factoring in Malcolm Brogdon's disgruntled, take on the situation, that probably helped facilitate that trade happening as quickly as it did, right? The need to move on from this guy before training camp really starts. And I think that although I think Zach LaVine will be kind of even keel for now, I do think you make a really good point when you say if we're 45 games down the line and we're below 500, I look back and say, wow, you threw me in a trade package potentially for an expiring contract of James Harden.
Yeah.
Who is on a full nuclear tour right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I hate it, but I understand it. I get it though.
Hey, I mean, if you put the guy too much in trade rumors, they're gonna feel like you're not being valued by the organization. A trade request by becoming, I think, Zach LaVine, after all these years about being in trade requests, getting the next step, maybe moving on to the next guy. Yeah. It's the law of diminishing returns. He might be able to turn around and ask that for you, and you're not gonna get as much back as you think you are. Next question, Jay.
Okay.
Who will be this year's Sacramento Kings? And what I mean by this is which team is going to be the NBA's darlings? We know last year the Sacramento Kings came a little bit out of nowhere. They made it to the 6th seed. Everyone was happy. They wanted to take down the Warriors. We wanted to see them do well. They're such a likable team. But who is going to be that for this year? You might say the Sacramento Kings again, but there is 29 other teams in the league. Who do you think is going to be this year's, what I would say, NBA darlings?
Okay, so guys, for full disclosure, not trying to push an agenda or anything, but I kind of started the Kings hype train last offseason. I was on a podcast tirade,
right? You're right.
Across podcast platforms, letting people know that I think the Kings are up next. I got a lot of pushback before the season started. Mm-hmm. And the ball started rolling. They finished 3 games behind the Memphis Grizzlies and ended up in the 3rd seed and gave the Warriors one hell of a series in the first round. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm Nostradamus, but I'm saying I got a little bit of an eye for this thing.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But what I'm saying, but in reality, the team that I think is going to be the darling this season is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that this was the team that everybody wanted to be so good last year. I think last season, when we saw them get out of that first round of the play-in tournament, we started to feel a little something, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I believe, finished top 5 in the MVP votes last year, which is huge for his progression. I think people like Josh Giddey, but we still need to get around what that lack of a three-point jump shot will do for him, or maybe not do for him, moving forward as a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Everybody is a fan of Jalen Williams, J-Dub, right at the 3 spot. I feel like everybody not only is big on how his rookie season went, some people made the argument that maybe he deserved Rookie of the Year over Paolo Banchero. I think that might be a reach. It might not be. It depends on what you value. Production versus productivity on a winning team. High production on a losing team, moderate production on a winning team. It depends on what you value. But he was a guy who was in real Rookie of the Year conversation last year. So Shai made his step. People believe that year 2 for Jalen Williams is huge. Chet Holmgren is about to play his first full season as a member of this team, and this is a team that came off of 40 wins last year. There's a lot to like about this basketball team, and if they build off of anything we saw last year, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander builds off of anything we saw in FIBA, I'm just saying, dog, if you weren't already an Oklahoma City Thunder fan beforehand, I mean, you got to be keeping your eyes on the Dogs now. Like, that's a team that you're going to have to keep a close look on at this point, considering the fact that the youth is there, the progression is there, the enjoyment in terms of their play style is something you can get behind. I mean, what's not to like about this team besides the fact that they might not be able to hit threes? Outside of that, there's a lot to like.
Yeah, it helps that this team has a lot of likable players. Like we mentioned, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is like one of the most liked players in the entire league right now. Josh Giddey has a great social media presence. He's beloved by a lot of guys as well. And then, of course, you got the story of Chet Holmgren. You have the 2 Jalen Williams on their team, who is like a lot of fun to watch, like on social media as well. You have the outside the basketball court presence from Oklahoma City, and then you got the fun play inside. So them being the darlings and the chance for them to even move up further in the standings, which we saw from the Sacramento Kings. The formula is there. It could potentially happen. I'm going to go a little bit more low-key with mine, though. And I'm going to say that my darlings for this year, potentially the Indiana Pacers. I think the Pacers have, like, again, for a team who's, like, kind of in the lower part of the standings, they do talk a lot, especially with Benedict Mathurin leading away from them. He talks a lot in terms of, like trying to big himself up and his team as well. But I think they're going to be one of those teams where you have, like, one of the great up-and-coming young point guards in Tyrese Haliburton. You got like a damn good guard rotation with players such as Bruce Brown, who you added. You have Andrew Nembhard, who was a very nice surprise last year as a rookie for the Indiana Pacers. You got the potential second-year jump from Ben Mathurin, Buddy Hield, T.J. McConnell. Then you like think about the rest of the rest of the roster with Obi Toppin, Jalen Smith, even Miles Turner. It's a pretty solid roster and has a chance for them to maybe even compete for a play-in tournament spot. You have some of the pieces there. Especially if we see the next jump from Benedict Mathurin to maybe becoming one of the potential elite scorers in basketball, I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. They have a lot of high flyers over there as well, led by a great point guard in Tyrese Haliburton, who showed a lot last season, becoming a first-time All-Star. Some of the pieces are there. I think the Indiana Pacers is going to be a team to watch. Potentially a good League Pass team as well. Like we probably discussed a little bit last week, but I think that they could be, if they start to piece things together, could be this year's NBA darlings.
I think the one part that I wonder about Indiana is just what happens with Buddy Hield, right? There's already conversations of the front office and Buddy Hield coming to an agreement on wanting to find trade partners for him. And I think that's good, right? I think Buddy Hield has been in trade conversations for so long, and this team is only getting more and more youthful, right? And it seems like they are tending to put a little bit more focus on transition and athleticism. Ben Mathurin, Obi Toppin, Bruce Brown. Like, there's a lot of guys who are high flyers, operate well in that fast break, guys that I think you can put around a guy like Tyrese Haliburton and produce at a high level in the open floor. So I think there's a lot to like about their situation. I just wonder how they expound upon that with a potential Buddy Hield trade. Do they continue to build on that 3-man spot? Because we got to be honest, they still a little light at the 3 spot right now. The other thing, too, is I'm interested to see what kind of aggression they come out with this year, right? Them and the Utah Jazz. They're the two teams where, like, we saw the beginning of the year and we all were scratching our head like, yo, are they actually kind of cold? And like, we didn't really know how to deal with it at first. Now we're coming off of that. And we have to ask ourselves, like, yo, is Indiana trying to go back into, like, playing for the playoffs? Is Utah trying to go back into, like, playing for the playoffs? Because we saw a hint of, like, yo, they could be good enough to finish seventh in the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference. So I think the most interesting part that'll also potentially make them fun is how hard are they looking to come into the season? How hard are they looking to come out in terms of not just playing hard, but what their overall goals for the year are? That'll be interesting because if they have high hopes for their team, they got some interesting pieces to kind of be competitive.
What I want to see from this Indiana Pacers team is kind of take on the personality of Benedict Mathurin. Go balls to the wall, try to compete every single night, and try to win these games. Because you know that Benedict Mathurin wants to compete. I hope that kind of trickles down to the rest of the roster. And if they can start competing, they do have the talent to win some of these games. They got a chance there. They got a chance to make it to the playoffs and maybe become NBA's darlings for this year. Jay, next question. Which coach is on the hottest seat? We had a few coaching changes this past season. Which coach is on the hottest seat, a.k.a. who is under the most pressure and has the biggest chance to get fired?
Holy cow. Dang, because the biggest part is the could get fired, because normally I'd say it's the Bucks coach, right? Yeah. Look. I know he's the new guy on the block, so that's the tough part about all this, right?
Yeah.
Is I don't think he's gonna get booked after his first year. I don't think he's gonna get hit with the David Blatt treatment. I'm not. At least I would hope not, right? Of like you coach a team to the NBA Finals, but you're like, hey, newbie, you weren't good enough to get us over the hump. Get this guy out of here. I don't think he'll be the one. So I think he's safe. But man, I gotta be honest, bro. Oh man. Ooh, that's you know who it is. You know who it is. It's Billy Donovan. You know what?
I knew you're gonna go. I knew
it's soapbox time, TV. It's soapbox time. Everybody, you can skip passes if you want to. It's not meant to be a bull segment. It's a bull segment today. Let me go here. Billy, I'm talking to you. I'm gonna look straight into the camera. TV, I know you're right here, but I'm gonna look here right now.
Yeah.
Billy Donovan, I need to get an understanding of what the goals are. Is Patrick Williams going to develop? Is he a long-term 3 of the future for our team? Are you going to put Zach LaVine in position as a number 1 shooting guard option on a playoff caliber team? Is DeMar DeRozan someone that you believe can duplicate the kind of clutch performances that he had from 2 seasons ago? Maybe not to the same level. I watched the man literally hit a buzzer beater against the Washington Wizards only a night later after beating the Indiana Pacers in a similar fashion. Some things are just hard to put back in rotation. But if you think that he's that good, if you think Zach is that good, if you have the ability to believe in a Patrick Williams to the point that we keep leaving him off the trade block, I gotta see something, Billy. We can't keep looking at things as we're going to compete for the playoffs, but we're going to develop the young guys. But then we don't make the playoffs and the young guys don't develop. You gotta pick one, Billy. We gotta pick one, and we gotta make that happen. So Billy Donovan, you gotta let me know. Are we a playoff team or a rebuilding team that needs to see what the young guys can do? Because what you do determines the future of this team more than anything. Because Vooch is signed. DeMar DeRozan is an expiring contract. Zach LaVine is on TV's list of guys to put a trade request in. So you're only hope, buddy. You're the only thing left to keep these guys afloat.
Hey man, I mean,
in the words of greats, help a brother out, please. Just let us know what's going on.
Oh, Billy Donovan. He's kind of. I feel like he's got screwed in like 2 situations now: the Thunder situation and now in this whole situation. Brought him to win, and now they're like, "What do we do with you? What do we do with you?" I don't think he's a bad coach, but he's just like put in a tough situation here with the Chicago Bulls. I kind of agree with that. For me, I'm gonna go a little bit. I do agree with that. I do agree, but I'm gonna go a little bit more low key. I think that there's a possibility that Jason Kidd might be on a short leash this year.
Low key? That's kind of high key, TV.
High key? You think so? You think so?
Key. I mean, because like it seemed. I mean, I get that the media's not big on Jason Kidd, but I don't know if Jason Kidd's gonna be the word person we point our finger at this season. What's your thoughts? Let me not cut you off.
I just think that Jason Kidd, you got the chance of Luka Doncic. You made the big move to get Kyrie Irving to try and like convince Luka Doncic, look, we are here. We are trying to commit to you. We're going to try and win a championship the best we can. We brought in one of the best point guards in the league to help you out. They got that done. They got the extension. Cool. Jason Kidd has had a bit of an up and down kind of career with the Dallas Mavericks. Make it as high as the conference finals, down to last year without even making it to the play-in tournament. There's a wide range of Jason Kidd success we have going on there in the Dallas Mavericks. And when you have Luka Doncic, who's up for a next contract, you want to see this team do well. You're not going to blame Kyrie. He's the one who just signed the extension. No way in hell you're blaming Luka Doncic for any of the problems you have. This guy's too valuable to your franchise. And Mark Cuban knows this. And it's a product of the situation. When you can't blame the stars, who's next on the plate? The head coach. It's an unfortunate situation, but when you have stars there with as big of personalities as Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, who has as much say in the organization as that, Jason Kidd, man, you might be next if you don't turn this team around, if you don't show the success that the Dallas Mavericks want to see, the progression, the wins moving forward. I think you're going to be on a short leash. There are other guys out there in the market that they could possibly go after, and they could go in a different direction. There's Luka Doncic probably looks at these type of coaches and thinks of maybe looks at a guy who maybe fits the type of system that he wants. The two stars there have too much say in the organization, and if things go south really quickly, I feel like that Jason Kidd's going to be kind of the first one to blame there, and it might be unfortunate, but that's just the nature of the situation.
I think that's a really fair point. I think the main point that you make that's the strongest one for that, though, is when the stars cannot be of blame, who is typically the fall guy? And it's usually the head coach. Usually the front office's reactionary move is to get him before I get got.
Yeah.
So ideally, he would be the guy. Can I bring to you an honorable mention, though?
Sure.
I believe that Chris Finch with Minnesota is in a tough spot.
You know what? I skimmed past him as a possibility. I don't mind that. I
think he's in a tough spot because, again, I think if you utilize the same theory you just used for the Dallas Mavericks, we just saw Anthony Edwards have a really strong FIBA, right? Not the greatest ending, but a very strong FIBA performance nonetheless. He was a guy who took over social media over the offseason as a guy that we think could take a really big leap coming off of a first-time All-Star appearance, right?
Yeah.
That's huge for what that team looks like. Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert and their ability to coexist is big as well because it does also really determine the longevity of this duo. At the end of the day, they're going to be too expensive and it's going to get dicey as things go along. But the longevity of this situation is more built off the fit than it is the money because we've seen many a team make the money work if the talent's worth it. But so far, granted, only 1 year sample size and not even a full season's worth, but if the Twin Tower thing can't work, they're going to have to find something to make it happen. And it's either getting a different coach that can make the philosophy work in the way that we think most optimizes those guys, or it's resulting to the more rip the Band-Aid off reluctantly option, which is moving off a guy like Karl Anthony Towns with his value. And I think logically, a front office, especially ran by new owners specifically, would much rather move off their coach that can't make it work than their former all-star big man.
Former number 1 overall pick.
Who at the end of the day might not be the face of the franchise with Anthony Edwards in the building, but is the biggest staple of the Minnesota Timberwolves in recent memory. Yeah,
that's definitely a possibility as well. And I know this guy kind of along the same lines. I know it might not maybe be this year, but take a small look at JB Bickerstaff. If they can't especially with the contract coming up for Evan Mobley pretty soon and the amount of money they're going to invest in that big four, if he can't make it work, and especially with those twin towers as well, you might have to see him like on a chopping block as well. So we gave you a couple options. So there's we have our own thing, like we have our own like individual ones, but there's a few guys that are kind of iffy in that situation. So let's see if any of these guys actually do end up getting fired. Next question, Jay. What team is gonna have the worst record at the end of this year? The worst team in this we're gonna we are. I just realized with a lot of these questions is besides the NBA darlings ones, this has been hella negative. So Jay.
I mean, we were pretty positive last podcast. So I mean, we were gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
But okay, so I thought about this one long and hard, and I just believe that the answer, it's the San Antonio Spurs. I just believe that they are incentivized to be. I look at it this way. The new, rules around, players playing on a night-to-night basis, in terms of the way they've set up, we talked about this a while back. It doesn't affect a guy like Victor Wembanyama, right? It doesn't impede his ability to win Rookie of the Year if he plays at least 55, 60 games. Like, he can still be in real contention for the award, despite maybe only playing like 2/3 of the season in total.
Oh,
right?
well, it's 65 games now. It's 65 games now, the minimum.
Well, not for Rookie of the Year,
though. For Rookie oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay.
For Rookie, I believe for maybe Rookie of the Year, but to make All NBA Rookie, the All Rookie NBA team, he doesn't have to play 65 games to be eligible for that, just because of like different logistics with that. Yeah. But they don't put a threshold on rookies in terms of the playing per what qualifies. Maybe Rookie of the Year might be the one, but I don't believe that one's impacted either.
Yeah.
So that's not a real incentive, right? So they don't have to play Vic at some kind of balls to the wall level. Their team is still really young, right? They're still, Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson. I'm a huge fan of Devin Vassell, and I think that he's only going to continue to grow as a player. He's been really good over the last year. He got extended too. This man just got extended. Yeah, I think he's going to be worth that money too. I think he's going to be a really great player. I love Jeremy Sochan as well. I like the makeup of their team, but they're still a really young squad, and they're not incentivized to focus on playing winning basketball. If you look down the list of every team, if we go down every team, let's just go for the Western Conference, because we got to think about how competitive the West is going to be as it is. You're right. Let's go down the list. What's the first team down the Western Conference that comes to mind where you say winning basketball games this year does not matter? Probably the Portland Trailblazers?
Yeah.
Maybe the Utah Jazz, depending on how you view them. But obviously, Lauri Markkanen is looking at an extension possibility as well. So that's something that might be important.
Yeah, but there's not many teams for sure.
When you go down the list, even the Rockets are incentivized to try to win games this year, which is why they had the kind of offseason they had, throwing a bag at Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, right? Yeah. So when you go down the list of teams that are incentivized to win, the one team that really falls out of the pecking order is the Spurs. Now, again, I think the Trailblazers are also another team that falls into this category. But I actually kind of like the Trailblazers as a team that can win. I think
their team is solid.
Yeah, I think if they keep the team as is, they can win like 35 games or something like that and be like kind of interesting with Scoot at the helm. And I think the Spurs, in theory, could be good as well. But I think their lack of incentive to be good only doubles down on the fact that I think they might just be the team that falter. So I think it's them.
I like that choice. I definitely do like that choice. They want to build the right team around Wembanyama. They have a good couple guys there, of course, with Keldon, Jeremy, and now they're extending Devin Vassell and all that. So they're starting to build a core there. So they're not incentivized to win. They still have a bunch of their picks. They want to build the best team possible. So I do like that choice. But man, I think that team has too much continuity. They've been together in a couple of years now. They kind of know how to play together. I think they will win just enough games to not be the last team. But you know who doesn't have any incentive to win and who doesn't have the continuity? The freaking Washington Wizards, man. This Washington Wizards team is going to be just Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma attempting 25 shots a game each. This is what this team is consistent of right now. You know it's going to win some games. It might shock, beating the Golden State Warriors. Who knows? It might be a Jordan Poole revenge game. Who knows at that point? But let's be honest. When you have a team led by those two guys, Sure, you have an okay roster around them, but they're non-incentivized to win. They've held on to the Bradley Beal situation for way too long. They need a hard reset. All you got to do is let these guys shoot like 50 times a game combined, and I think they'll just shoot you out of games. They don't have any real continuity there. Even like the players that they drafted in Bilal Coulibaly, even Johnny Davis they did 2 years ago. These guys are projects. They're not expected to be good right away. You see the San Antonio Spurs bring in Wembanyama. They expect them to be rookie of the year, borderline all-star coming into this league. There's expectations with that team. With the Wizards, I have literally zero expectations for this team. Jordan Poole averaged 30 points a game on 30 shots. Go ahead. That's the type of team they are. And I think with when these guys are shooting a bunch of shots, the way they're going to play, they have to be the worst team in the league. Let Johnny Davis shoot 20 shots while you're at it. Come on. Let's just see like a bunch of like shot chuckers on this Wizards team. I don't really think there's much of a system there yet. For me, like when you're mixing all those other factors and the fact that they need to lose to actually like try and build something over there, I gotta go with the Wizards being the worst team in the league at this point.
I mean, that's not a bad bet though, bro. If we gotta bet the over or the under on this team, maybe we'll do that as a podcast sometime. That'd be kind of cool. But like, if you gotta bet the over under on this team, it's not looking too good, bro. And don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, I love my boy Tyus, but dang, you can only make but so much happen with this squad, bro. Cause I mean, look at it. Even they have a log jam at the forward spot. It's Kyle. It's Denny Avdia is still there. Corey Kispert is still there. Coulibaly is in between in terms of whether or not you want him playing as a guard or a forward for this squad. Like, they have a lot of questions, and there's a lot to just wonder about this team. Now, the wild card in this entire question is the Detroit Pistons. Because in Cade we trust, dog. Because seriously, bro, if Cade Cunningham is healthy, I think this team is super interesting. They still have Bogdanovich. They brought in Monty Morris. I like Jaden Ivey. I like what they're able to do in the front court.
Watch for Jalen Duren. I am very excited to see what he can do this year.
I was just about to say, I'm a very big fan of what they've got in the front court to an extent. I think they got too many guys in there. Marcus Bagley the third, James Wiseman. There's a lot going on, but I do like the fact that they've invested in their backcourt and kind of really hit on a guy like Jalen Duren. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do. But at the end of the day, man, in Cade we trust. If we could take what we did, if we take what he did with the U.S. Select team against the FIBA squad, we might be in for a really good year for Cade Cunningham. But this is the other thing. Similar to your take on Wembanyama, I think that the Detroit Pistons have really high expectations of Cade Cunningham. This is year 3. This is year 3, and we haven't seen that much basketball from Cade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're talking about coming up close to needing to have real conversations around rookie extensions, and we haven't seen a lot from Cade Cunningham so far. I think that this is a guy who can still be that 6'8", super ball dominant point guard that they were trying to turn into Luka Doncic. I still think there's
a possibility
of that in his body of work. But until you show me something, you putting me in a tough spot as a big Cade Cunningham fan, right? So in Cade we trust. If he goes down with injury again or he doesn't produce, this team could be ass. But if he plays to the capability that we think he could be, I don't think they're in the conversation for this worst record in the league stuff.
He's the biggest wild card in the NBA, in my opinion. If he's able to be the guy that we think he was able to be as a number 1 overall pick, this Pistons team could accelerate the rebuild faster than we think. But if he can't, they're going to be near the bottom of the league once again. So, yeah, they definitely have a chance to be the worst record in the league. But I do like our first 2 options. I think those will be right now. Sure. Next question, Jay. And I think we're going to work on this together. I was going to do it separate, but let's go work on this together.
All right.
Let's create the hit your free throws dream NBA dunk contest for this. I was about to do a separate one, but let's try to work on this together. 4-man lineup. Who do you want to see to try and bring? I mean, the last dunk contest was great. Let's keep up this momentum. Let's try and build the best dunk contest together, Jay. Let's throw out some ideas. Who do you want to see in there?
TV, hear me out. I'm going to build a narrative for you. We've done this before. Hear me out. We're going to talk through the steps.
Yeah.
I watched the episode of the Paul George podcast, the Podcast P podcast, where they had Jaren Jackson Jr. on the pod. And he discussed what Ja Morant does in warm-ups and in practice, in the practice facility. Sounded like some insane stuff. Now let's build the narrative further. The dude is going to be coming off a 25-game suspension and is going to need to reassert himself, not as only one of the best athletes in the NBA, but as one of the best guards in the league. Let's throw on top of that.
Image. Yeah, and just rehabilitate his image.
We're gonna get to that part. Let's get to the part where he kind of owes the NBA a little bit, right?
There you go.
He kind of ran into a little bit of a problem. 25 games for a gun, whether we go call it what it is, 25 games for the incidents that Ja Morant has put the NBA through from a PR standpoint.
Yeah.
He kind of owes the league. Gilbert Arenas had similar situation, and the league wasn't as friendly to him.
Yeah.
Different league,
different commissioner,
different circumstances as well. So let's also say from a public image standpoint, and from let's be a little friendly to the guys who still, in a sense, gave me a slap on the wrist in totality for what has taken place over the last season. Let me help revitalize the dunk contest. I think Ja Morant, for multiple layers to this season, not only needs to put himself back in a positive light in front of the NBA, but I think he kind of needs to reestablish. I think we've been so focused on who Ja the person is that we've kind of stepped away from who Ja the player is.
One of the most fun players in the league.
And that's the underlining sentence at the end of the day that makes him important for an event like the dunk contest. Now you pair all of the other shenanigans along with it, and it seems like the perfect PR move.
100%. I had him as one of my choices for that exact reason. Ja, you could have been in a lot worse situation. The NBA did you a favor. Just do the NBA a favor, do the fans a favor. We've been wanting this for years. Join the dunk contest, please. We're begging you, Ja. Please join the dunk contest.
Yeah.
The way we'll do this, I'll give my two guys, you give your other guy after this. But I like to talk about these two guys together because it just makes too much sense to add these guys together.
Okay.
Give me both Blazers guards, Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson in here. I think those two guys, especially Shaedon Sharpe, if you have not seen this man in training in freaking any of these videos, this guy has some of the craziest bunnies I have ever seen. This guy was in freaking, summer runs trying to jump over regular ass dudes. Like, this guy has no chill whatsoever. Pair this guy in a dunk contest. Imagine for how long he's in the air for, the amount of stuff you could do. He is the perfect addition. Scoot Henderson, same sort of idea. This guy is lanky. This guy is athletic as all hell. You add these two guys to the dunk contest together, and let's be honest. As much as we love the big man dunkers, the dunk contest just looks so much nicer with these guards, man. The guards just make these dunks look so much nicer. A lot more creativity, a lot more flair. I think two of these guys, two very exciting young players in the league. You bring in Scoot Henderson as well, who's like one of the top picks from this past draft. And I think it's a great start, and I think it helps continue to build the Portland Trail Blazers image, try to keep them relevant, keep these guys, in the public eye. I think those two guys, I don't care who you have as your fourth guy, but I think these two guys need to be in the dunk contest this year. I think it would be a great battle between these two as well.
I 100% agree. Shaedon Sharpe was on my short list of guys that definitely had to be involved. At the end, bro, you got to think about this, bro. Shaedon Sharpe is like the 20-year-old version of Kawhi Leonard, and when you talk about like what he is to the media, like he is the biggest enigma in the league, bro.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard Shaedon talk for like longer than 5 minutes? I think outside of media day, you could tell he's still a young kid who's not media trained, still kind of learning his way around the league. This guy is an enigma, and I think that a stage like All-Star Weekend will give us a chance to finally get some personality out of him. I think as a 20-year-old kid with crazy bounce and still so much raw ability, and the dude came out of basically sitting on the bench for the Kentucky Wildcats and never playing a game, comes into the NBA and through the first 20 games shoots 38% from three. Just on a casual tip, right?
Yeah.
So he's a guy that I think if we could add some more personality to him, it'd be insane to kind of get behind a player like that. I completely agree with Scoot Henderson, man. I mean, at the end of the day, bro. But dude's got the bounce, dude's got tenacity, dude's got the attitude of a guy who I think is not only going to go out and really put on a show at a dunk contest, but I think he's going to take it seriously in terms of really trying to give us something we haven't seen. Which reminds me of who the last person has to be.
Let me hear it.
We've been talking about PR campaigns.
Yeah.
We're talking about building images, protecting the brand, helping the NBA through their turmoil of a social media summer. And you know who else really needs a reputable boost these days?
No. Oh, no, please, no.
Them boys out in the bayou might need to call my boy Zion Williamson.
Okay. I thought you were going to go somewhere else.
Because, let's be honest, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Zion in a while.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
He's been like a hypothetical player. Very AI-esque. Very in theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a guy that I feel like we have a ton of upside behind. But we're starting to run out of patience, right? And the best way that you can extend patience is to give us something to cling to.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the New Orleans Pelicans aren't going to be that good this season. They're already going into the year. Trey Murphy's down with injury. Jose Alvarado should hopefully, be a little bit healthier come the early portion of the year. But they also are going to be missing Larry Nance Jr. for some time.
Yeah.
They're already limping into the year as it is, right? So this team is not going to be all that good, at least to start off the year. You got to give us something to work with then, because you might be a 20-8 guy, but it's going to be garbage. It's going to be garbage stats. We're going to like New Orleans when they play well, and we're going to bash on them for how bad they are when they don't play well, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing that we can kind of cling to is but Springy Zion is back, and I just love seeing that guy throw the ball in the basket.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think that's just important. Not to mention, we probably sell a lot of Mariah Mills paraphernalia at All-Star Weekend. Just saying.
Yep.
Throwing that out there. Not important, but
You're right. Bro, I thought you were gonna go off the map, bro. I thought you were gonna go over to Charlotte. I thought you were gonna say, yo, Miles Bridges needs to freaking.
Nah, okay, I'm not gonna hold you. I was thinking Miles Bridges, but here's the thing. The thing about the Miles Bridges situation and about Charlotte in general is they don't need gimmicks right now, right?
Yeah.
They've got a lot of character issues across the board, right? They got Miles Bridges, they got PJ Washington, they've got this Kai Jones thing.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say Kai Jones too. I thought you were gonna say Kai Jones too, because this guy's jumpy. Even though he's crazy, he's jumpy.
Don't get me wrong, Charlotte got some bouncy athletes.
Yeah.
Man, freaking James Bouknight, who I was huge on out of UConn, he's got his own situation going on with freaking DUIs and stuff. Good God. But they're a team that does not need to worry about attention right now.
Yes.
They're a team that needs to be as low-key and productive as possible. Let Terry Rozier shoot the shit out the ball. Let Gordon Hayward give you his 18 and 5 a night. Let LaMelo Ball just be healthy for at least 60 games. This was a team that was like a 40-plus win game, 40-plus win team when Miles Bridges last was healthy and this team was playing with some fire behind. They just need to go back to being that team.
Yeah,
the team that makes us really excited to watch them and listen to their announcer during the regular season, and then watch them get cursed splatted in the first round of the freaking play-in tournament, right? They need to just kind of get back to that team.
Yeah.
So I don't think All-Star Weekend features is the move right now. I'm just saying.
Yo, I know.
Zion Williamson is starting to slowly but surely become one of those out of sight, out of mind theoretical guys. And I hate that for him because I think that his talent is way above average when he's healthy. But that caveat that we got to keep adding is the same thing with New Orleans Pelican Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
When you have to ask yourself, when healthy, what can he be? When healthy, what can he be? You start wondering, is Nikola Jokic the best big in the game? Is Joel Embiid the best big in the game?
Yeah.
Is Anthony Davis even top 3 in his position? We start having these weird conversations despite the fact that we know what the real answer is, right? Which is that Anthony Davis is top 3 big in the NBA. It's not questionable. But we start having the questions when the guy starts to slowly fade from our memory. And Zion Williamson now is slowly becoming that guy. So we need something to reinvigorate the hype.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
This dunk contest on we got Shaden Sharp.
Oh my God, that would be nuts.
And Zion Williamson. That would bring so much eyeballs to the freaking product, man. That is the dream. You know what? I am 100% on board with that. If you guys can make something better, I don't know if you can, but these four, I don't know. This is a pretty nasty four, and especially because none of these guys have been in the dunk contest already. We don't know what they're all about. This would be fantastic. Let us know if you guys can create a better one in the comment section below. 2 more questions to go. Jay, I'm gonna throw this over to you. This is a real question, but of course I'm gonna give you some context pretext to this.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic and Trae Young. Yes, people will say that Luka Doncic is clearly the better player, but if you think of their careers, it's been kind of the same sort of trajectory. Both have made one conference finals appearance. Both have made multiple playoffs. One, of course, I said made it to the conference finals. Multiple time All-Stars. Now they're both kind of in the same situation in their respective conferences. The Mavs, we don't know if they're a top 5 team. Maybe they're a playing team. Same thing with the Atlanta Hawks. We both know what their peak is, and that is the conference finals. But we've seen them also fall as low as a playing tournament team, or in the Mavs case, an outside the playing team as well. So when it comes to this season, Jay, who's going to have a better season as a team, the Mavs or the Hawks? Talk to me.
Man, I think it's the Hawks, and it's because they got a lot less demons to face, bro.
Yeah.
I think that they've got something to work with the fact that they have Quinn Snyder for a full season. Like, I feel like that keeps getting thrown under the bus, but Quinn Snyder as a regular season coach, one of the best in the NBA, right? He was a guy that, despite the blunders in the playoffs with the Utah Jazz were consistently for 4 or 5 years a top 3, top 4 seed regularly in the Western Conference, with really Donovan Mitchell as their only shot creator and Rudy Gobert as the pillar of a defensive unit that didn't have much defense. So, like, I think there's a lot to like about them in the regular season, with a full off season of Quinn Snyder in the room and a full regular season with Quinn Snyder at the helm. I also think it's really important to factor in that the Eastern Conference isn't as scary. The Western Conference, it's a demon, bro. It's a demon.
Yeah.
Like, even the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are going to be missing John Morant for 25 games. They're like, nobody's worried. They're like, hey, bro. They'll probably go like, you know what I mean? They'll probably go like a cool 16-9 or something.
Yeah.
They'll stave it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Sacramento Kings. Some people are like, not believers off of last season. Other people will say, dude, they just had the greatest offense in freaking NBA history last year, and they're bringing back most of the same guys. You know, the Phoenix Suns, big 3 over there. The Clippers, I mean, I'm not going to say that
you let
Kawhi Leonard tell you the new rules aren't going to make him play more, but it might help him play more. I don't know. That's just me. The Lakers, T-Wolves. I think the Pelicans won't be good. That's tough. The Thunder, we got to see, like I mentioned in the earlier portion of the podcast, we got to see what the Jazz want to do. The Rockets were bad last year. They got Ime Udoka at the helm now. They got another year of Jabari Smith. I like Alper Sengun, Jalen, oh my gosh, forget his name all of a sudden. Jeez. How's he dropping off? No. I'm talking about for the Rockets. That's how you know he's falling down.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Whatever. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. That's tough. I hate to do Buddy like that. Jalen Green. I apologize.
Oh
That's tough.
Gosh,
that just goes to show you how he's falling down the pecking order, right? Like, he's got something to prove. Like, I'm glad that kind of happened because it only furthers my point. Jalen Green is falling into that department where we're slowly starting to forget about him. Fred Van Vliet is on this team now, right? Like, there's a lot to Dylan Brooks as well. Like, there's a lot of things going on in the Western Conference across the board. And I just think that, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I just think that they're in a situation right now where the Mavs are they got a lot steeper of a hill to climb.
100%. I'm not even gonna try to play devil's advocate. You are 100% right here. The Hawks have an easier road. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, a full year together, along with a very, with an elite coach and Quinn Snyder at the helm. They got rid of the John Collins problem after years of trying to get rid of him. I think it's a fresh start for the Atlanta Hawks, and because of the stuff that happened last year, they have a lot less pressure. The Dallas Mavericks, on the other hand, they have Luka Doncic, one of the best players in the league. Kyrie Irving, one of the most biggest personalities as well. They're going to be in the public eye. They have Jason Kidd, who is a big time personality as a head coach as well. They're going to be a lot of eyeballs on them, and they're going to have a lot of pressure going into this year. Atlanta Hawks, on the other hand, if they become a top 6 seed, no one's going to still talk about it. That's the thing about them. The Dallas Mavericks, they're going to be followed along. So I 100% agree with you. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks as well. But, man, Luka Doncic still has the potential for the MVP season. He definitely does still. And if he can do that, then the Dallas Mavericks can really take this over the top. But it's still a wait-and-see game with that team. Jay, final question for the 72. For part 2 of the 21 questions. Who, in your opinion, is going to make their first All-Star game this year?
This got way more interesting when they started opening up the floor for these kind of selections. Because, if I'm not mistaken, is All-Star still doing positions? Or they're positionless as well, right? Because I know the All-NBA team is now positionless.
I believe they've gone positionless as well, yes.
Oh, man. I'm still going to go with my original answer, dude. Mikal Bridges is the only thing popping in Brooklyn. And that means a lot because he was a big-time player for them last year, and I think there's a real chance for him to build on top of that. I think they're going to really want to start to incentivize him to be an offensive creator.
Yeah.
And he's got the personality for it. I've loved listening to him on podcasts. I like the new celebration that he's kind of been rocking with over the last season or two. And I think that there's a lot to gravitate towards when it comes to Mikal Bridges as a personality. And that's a part of it, right? When you talk about being a first-time All-Star, production has to be there. But your personality in the public eye is what gets the votes. That's what helps you in these situations. That's how we always have the stray guy who tends to always gain a random following, right? The Zaza Pachulia once upon a time getting the random hype in the All-Star voting. The Andrew Wiggins K-pop incident, right? There's always these separate outside factors that tend to come down to weird things like personality or relationships, right? And I think that Mikal Bridges being the biggest thing popping in Brooklyn, along with the fact that his personality is starting to really grow on people who are just into NBA media. If he plays well and balls out, you're going to give him a look. And when you look at the forward pool tends to always be really weak every single year. Now, maybe the new player rules in terms of player participation changes that a little bit. But if we're talking about first-time All-Star potential, the best spot to kind of slide in terms of votes is still going to be playing at that forward spot.
Yeah, I like that choice. Mikal Bridges being in there. He's, again, the number one guy in Brooklyn, got out of the Phoenix shadow. If he continues to what he did at the end of last season, which was pretty damn elite, then he could definitely has a chance over there. I do like that choice. But Jay, I was holding off bigging up this guy earlier on, but I think a guy who has the potential to make a first-time All-Star, you could potentially put this on the bulletin board. Give me DeAndre Ayton. Give me DeAndre Ayton.
Whoa,
man!
I like that though.
Look,
I like that though.
We're talking about guys who have free reign going into next season. DeAndre Ayton is going to be the best player going into the season this year. He is. He's going to get the opportunities. He feels more committed than ever. He said as he entered the locker room, it feels like I'm a rookie again. He feels like this is a whole new fresh start. I could see him having a 22-12 sort of season. I really can. I really think that the production is going to grow in there. You're going to notice him a bit more on the defensive end. If he starts shooting the three ball and actually becoming respectable out there, I think that's going to even add another element to his game that we've been waiting to see over these next couple of years. This Blazers team is going to be a fun team to watch, and I think that DeAndre Ayton is going to show that what people saw in him as a number one overall pick, being a dominant big man, the perfect modern day big man. I think you could see that even more as a member of this Portland Trail Blazer team, plus the opportunity he's going to get. Man, with the idea of him being the best player, I like it. I like the idea. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be my choice. It might be a bit bold, but I think he might be my choice to be a first-time All-Star.
TV, I think this might be our bandwagon this year. I think last year my bandwagon was the Sacramento Kings, and I think this is one of those that I think we definitely agree on, that people are maybe not gonna be hype about, but I think has some real validity to it. Like the redemption factor, the fact that he is a top level talent when you talk about his overall physique, the ability that he has as an offensive player, the upside we know he has as a defensive player, because we saw 2 seasons ago what he was capable of as a defender against Nikola Jokic. So we know that when he plays motivated, he can be one of the better defensive centers in the league. He could be even more interesting in a Twin Towers duo defensively next to Robert Williams. Lord knows how many shots they could swat if they're both locked in. I think, dude, this could be a really interesting. I like this band. If this is a bandwagon we're hopping on, I'm down. The Dominating Redemption Tour, I'm down for it.
Hey,
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm strapping myself to it. I'm excited to see what this team is all about, and I want to see what DeAndre Ayton could do as the lead, potentially the lead guy, at least for this season. I'm excited to see that. So I'm strapping myself to it. I've heard you talk about him highly throughout these season previews. Look, man, DeAndre Ayton, we're high on him. Let's see how the season starts off with, but I'm hoping to see a different DeAndre Ayton and a more motivated one for sure. But yeah, those are part 2 of the 21 questions. We're going to hit part 3 next week, but let us know down below what your answers are to some of these questions that we just talked about today. We went through a wide variety of stuff. The dunk contest, first-time All-Stars, coaching the hottest seat. We got through a lot of stuff, so let us know what some of your answers are down below. Jay, we're going to move on to the last segments of the show. We have the draft. We have the quiz. You know that these are staples over here at the Hit Your Free Throws podcast, and we have a fantastic draft for you here today. And I was kind of motivated by the fact that Jrue Holiday, one of the best defenders in the league, and I just started thinking about defense a lot. And I just came up with a scenario in my head. Jay, I'm going to paint this for you. We talked about this beforehand, but I'm going to paint it for the listeners as well. Imagine you're up by 1 in the NBA Finals Game 7. Across from you, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, LBJ, Hakeem, and Shaq all on the court. And they get the last shot. And I'm like, damn, that feels unstoppable. But Jay, one possession, championship on the line. Me and Jay are going to be drafting teams to try and stop that 5 from scoring. It feels impossible. You got the spacing, you got the post work, you got the inside presence, you got the 2 GOATs of all time. But can we create a defense? Can we draft a defense that can stop them? We have free reign for players all time to do this. We can create the lineups how much we want to, but we just have to draft the best 5 we can that will stop them. We don't get the ball back. There's going to be a last-second shot opportunity. We're not worried about scoring. We are worried about defense. Can we build a 5 to stop that team from scoring and winning, and for us to win a championship? Jay, how are you feeling about this draft?
I am nervous, bro. This is like the first draft where I'm like, oh, man, I got to really put the thinking cap on deep for this one. We've done some deep cuts before, but man, you were listing out that offensive unit, and I'm like, thank God we only got to get a stop, because whatever team I'm getting is not going to be a team I'm hoping to get a bucket afterwards.
Yeah, we are just making one stop for the championship. Who's going to be on the court? You know how this works. Jay gets the first pick, I get the next 2, and we're going to run it serpentine style. But Jay, you get the first pick.
Look, man, this might be an odd first overall pick, dude, but look, I got to get the guy who Kobe Bryant said was the best defender against him on ball. I'm taking Tony Allen on the outside. Just to kick things off. If you're going to have Jordan, I got to get the guy who countered the clone as much as possible. And the guy who countered the clone, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's like one of the best on-ball defenders in NBA history, one of the best guys matchup-wise. Tony Allen, give him to me.
Damn good pick. Again, we do not want to score. We're not looking to score. We are looking to just get a stop. And Tony Allen, with that freaking Bulldog sort of mentality, you're going to need that on the court. I like that pick. But Jay, for my first overall pick, I got to go with one of the freakiest defenders in NBA history, man. So much can happen in these 5 seconds in this final shot, so you have to be ready for anything. And you know who's going to be ready for anything? Freaking Kawhi Leonard. Give me freaking Kawhi Leonard on the perimeter. Those giant hands, the ability to switch, the ability to run everyone around at his peak. Give me Kawhi Leonard, man. I think this guy is up there with some of the best perimeter defenders of all time. He's not going to talk, but he's going to be locked in. So give me Kawhi Leonard as my first pick. Then with my second pick, I'm going to go with someone who knows Michael Jordan the best. The man who has been dissing Michael Jordan for years now, even though he's been his greatest teammate, Scottie Pippen. If he has a chance to win the championship at Michael Jordan's expense, he'll take it. Give me Scottie Pippen, and I'm going to put him specifically on Michael Jordan. Specifically. You played with him for a near decade. I want you to just get your ass on him and just make sure he doesn't even get the ball. Scottie Pippen, one of the best defenders of all time. Kawhi, he gets a lot of comparisons to him. Let me have Scottie Pippen there and specifically put him on Michael Jordan.
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, we're gonna have to address that center spot because man, Shaq is a hell of a guard.
Oh, holy hell yeah!
Give me arguably the best defensive center in NBA history. I'm gonna get Bill Russell.
That's a tough one. I knew though he was gonna be off the board. Yeah,
we're gonna do that one. And man, guarding Hakeem is gonna be tough as well. But I'm gonna take the best power forward in NBA history, man. Give me Timmy D.
I like that.
Yeah.
You going with I like this. I like the way you're going this. You're going with the freaking just the individual matchups to who can give them the most problems. I like it. I definitely like those choices. Let's see who I got. I got Kawhi and I got Scottie. I like that so far. I like it. But for my center position, I'm actually going to be moving a 4 there because I think that this guy might be the toughest guy for Shaq, at least in terms of being able to honestly switch to if there's any pick and rolls. If there's anything, I think this might be the best center for this. Give me Kevin Garnett. I think Kevin Garnett being at manning the middle, if he has to switch out on the perimeter, if a pick and roll come in and he has to switch, I'm completely comfortable with him guarding MJ or Steph Curry for the final shot. He has the length, he has the lateral quickness to keep up with them. I think when it comes to that, Kevin Garnett is the guy I want there. Next guy, though, I need someone calling the shots. We have a bunch of guys who can lock in, but I need someone who is going to freaking make sure everyone is where they're supposed to be. This might be a surprise to you, and I think that having him on the court may garner some paid, but I think this guy's one of the best defensive communicators of all time, and alongside being one of the best defenders of all time. Give me Draymond.
I like that.
Give me Draymond Green, man. I mean, say what you want about him. This guy knows how to keep everyone in place. This guy has defended some of the best centers in today's league. I mean, of course, Hakeem and Shaq are completely different monsters. But still, when it comes to switching, when it comes to playing big when he has to, Draymond Green has risen to the occasion on many and a lot of the time, multiple-time NBA champion, being a defensive anchor for one of the best teams of all time in the Golden State Warriors. I need him on my roster. I need him to be the signal caller. I need him to be the one telling people where to go, when to switch. I need him on the roster. I need the voice. Give me Draymond Green.
Man, your 5 is crazy, TV. I'm not going to lie to you. But you left some of my guys on the board, so I'm happy that worked out in my favor. Because guess what, man? We got to get Gary Payton.
I knew it, yeah.
And my last pick for this, I got to put Ron Artest at the 3.
He was potentially going to be one of my guys, yeah.
Yeah. Gotta put it was a couple of guys that were on the table, but I need physicality, dude. If we're talking final possession, game on the line, those kind of guys on the floor with an opportunity to win the game, I need physicality. I need guys who are gonna fight over screens. I need guys who are gonna fight through screens. I need dudes who are gonna put a body on you in the paint to avoid any crazy last-second tip-ins. I need to make sure all things are accounted for, man.
I love that pick. Having Ron Artest last year, that is fantastic. But Jay, as a Bulls fan, I'm surprised. You talked about all that stuff, and you're not going to have this man in your roster?
Wild, man. Yeah.
Be ready for anything. Give me the most freaking out-of-pocket, freaking, like, what's it called? Erratic player in NBA history. Give me Dennis Rodman as that final guy. Who cares about matchups? Who cares about anything? You just need to be prepared for anything, and Dennis Rodman will be at that place when you need it. MJ said he'll let him go to Vegas. He'll let him do whatever, but I know when it comes to game day, he'll be there and making the right play. I need that type of person there in my final 5 spot, so give me Dennis Rodman. We said positions didn't matter, and I wanted to make sure that I got everything accounted for as well. We got the length, we got the switchability, and then we got the guy who is ready when things start to go crazy. So give me Dennis Rodman there as my final pick. I don't know if we're stopping this, but we're going to do our damn best. Jay, tell me what your team is to try and stop this 5.
All right, man. My starting five to be able to stop this insane offensive juggernaut is Gary Payton at the 1, Tony Allen at the 2, Ron Artest at the 3, Tim Duncan at the 4, and Bill Russell at the 5.
When it comes to individual matchups, it doesn't get much better than that. But, Jay, my team, we don't care about positions. We really don't. We're just trying to lock down and try and get whatever needs to get done to get this final stop. So I'm not even going to give you positions. I'm just going to tell you my 5. Scottie Pippen, Kawhi Leonard, Draymond Green, Dennis Rodman, and KG. We got the size, we have the switchability, and we have the guys who are willing to put their bodies on the line. So give me these 5 to do it. It's tough, man. You can go one way or the other, but you got individual matchups. You got kind of like the switchability sort of factor. Let us know down below which team, if any of them, are going to be able to stop this 5 on the final position. But let us know down below who do you think has a better chance. Jay, we are going to be heading on to our final segment of the show, which is the NBA quiz. We love to see it. And for this quiz, Jay, we're going to use this quiz for the next 2 weeks because there have been a lot of moves over the offseason. And you know, with the NBA TNT crew, what they like to do at the beginning of the season. Jay, welcome. You're the new contestant for Who He Play For.
Oh, God.
A lot of guys have been on the move this year. I'm going to give you a few players. We're going to do this with a point system. In this one, I'm going to give you probably 2 to 4 people per category. So we have the easy category. That's worth 1 point. We have the medium category worth 3 points. We have the hard category worth 5 points. And then we have the impossible at the very end. We have the absolute impossible. So
okay,
we're going to try. I want to see how many points you can get over these next 2 weeks to see. But we're going to do Who He Played For. All these guys have changed teams this past offseason. Let's see how much you've been keeping up with these new signings. So, Jay, you ready for this?
Yeah, let's see what I can do, man.
Oh, okay, don't worry. Easies are easy. Don't worry. So you should be able to blow past these few right away. Jay, Who He Play For? Max Strus.
Max Strus is on the Cleveland Cavaliers now.
Correct. You get 1 point on the board. See, I'm telling you, man.
All right, we'll see. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, next guy. Josh Richardson. Who he play for?
He is back on the Miami Heat now.
He is back on the Miami Heat. One of the very few off-season additions for them, but he is returning as a member of the Miami Heat. You are correct. You have got your second point. Good job. Good job. Next guy. Bruce Brown. Who he play for?
He is with the Indiana Pacers. That's one of my favorite signings this summer.
Yes, 100%. Bruce Brown is now a member of the Indiana Pacers. You got 3 straight points. I'm telling you, man. The easy ones, I'm gonna ease you into it.
Okay.
Final easy one. Torrey Craig, who he played for?
My Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, see, I told you. I'm giving you these playoffs. I'm giving you one of your new players in the fourth as well. So you see 4 easy points right away. Good to go. Now we're gonna move on to the 3-pointers. We're gonna go on to the medium shots. First player. Mo Bamba, who he played for?
Mo Bamba. He plays for Philly now.
He is a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. Correct. You get the first 3-pointer on the board. Next player. Monty Morris, who he played for?
Monty Morris he's on the Detroit Pistons.
He is on the Detroit Pistons. See, my guy, he knows he's been following on the offseason signings. I'm not worried about this guy. Yes, he is a member of the Detroit Pistons now. Next guy, Cam Reddish, who he played for.
God, he's rehabilitated his career with the Los Angeles Lakers.
And of course, that's the exact position why you want to rehabilitate your career. Cam Reddish is on the board. Let's see. So you're doing a clean sweep right now. I love to see it. Last guy for the medium category. Danilo Gallinari, who he played for.
Oh man, that's tough because I know he got moved from the Celtics.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Oh, man. I'm going to look at teams. I'm not going to look at players.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Who does he play for?
I put him last for a reason, but I kind of remember the situation now once I saw the trade happen.
Oh, crap. He was a dump off. That's what I do remember.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Dang, dude. I'm probably wrong, but I'm just no. He's not on that team. He's not on that team. Oh my gosh, who does he play for? There we go. That's the game, right?
He played for.
This is probably wrong, but like, is he back with the Atlanta Hawks?
He is not back with the Atlanta Hawks. Danilo Gallinari is a member of the Washington Wizards.
Oh,
God. As part of the Marcus Smart trade.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh, he was part of that trade.
Yeah. Once he realized, I was like, oh yeah, that's who Washington got in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. I'm like, yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
Wow, I forgot he was in that. Dang, I should have.
Yeah.
They didn't make any trades with Atlanta. Dang.
Yeah. No, but you're still killing it. You got 13 points so far of the possible 16. But we are moving on to the hard ones now. So here we go.
Deep cuts.
Cody Zeller, who he played for.
Oh, what the heck? Cody Zeller? Holy cow. Cody freaking Zeller, dude.
These are the tough.
What is tough? Cody Zeller? Is he like... Oh, man. Cody Zeller... Is he like with... Oh, my gosh. Is he... He can't... He's not still with the Hornets, right? No?
He moved to a new team, remember? He moved to a new team.
Yeah, I was about to say. Okay, cool. That's not my guess. I just want to make sure I wasn't tripping. The guess I'm going to put in is he on the Utah Jazz now?
He is not. He is a member of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Ew, that is an ugly fit, dude. Oh my God, that's gross.
Yeah, but Cody Zeller is a member of the New Orleans Pelicans. Next man up, though. It's okay. There's still 3 more guys in this category.
That's nasty.
Davis Bertans, who he played for.
Bertans? Oh my God, the laser?
The Latvian laser, who he played for.
Laser. What's the last team he was on? He was on Dallas, right?
Yep. And I will tell you, this was for I think you might have had a realization.
He's like the 8,000th guy on the Oklahoma City Thunder right now.
You are correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Their roster's OD long, and he's not even going to be one of the guys that gets cut because he makes too much money. Oh, my God. Jeez.
You are correct. Davis Bertans, a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's somewhere at the bottom of the roster there, but you are correct. Next guy up. Defending NBA dunk champion Mac McClung, who he played for.
Mac McClung. Oh wait. Okay, so I feel like I just seen this. I feel like I just seen this on freaking. He's not with the Lakers anymore. I feel like I just seen this, bro.
I think I seen his media day picture too.
Really? Because I feel like I feel like I just seen this. He's on a young team too. Okay, my fault. I gotta put teams in front of me again. Yeah. I know it's East. He went East. That's the one thing I remember. He's not on the Lakers anymore. He went East. NBA standings. That's always my fair bill. Just so everybody knows.
Okay, got you. Yep, okay.
So everybody knows. He went East though. Ooh, he's on my like low key team. Is he on Orlando now?
He is on the Orlando Magic. Yes, sir. Mac McClung. I mean, he was on the Lakers. He finished last season with the 76ers, but he is now a member of the Orlando Magic. Great pull over there from you, Jay. Last guy is part of the hard category before we move on to the impossible one. Garrett Temple, who he played for.
Wow. You know what's hilarious about Garrett Temple? I actually know who he played for beforehand because he was with you guys. So, wait. Or did I make that up? Actually, no. I'm going to NBA head that one. Isn't he still with you guys?
He was the newest signing of the Toronto Raptors. You are correct. I thought we were going to mess up there, but he was the final signing of the offseason.
I feel like I seen him in a Toronto jersey, like mad recent. But I don't know if that was from a signing or like, because you guys didn't trade for him, no?
Nope, he just signed here like a couple months ago. He just
I was going to say, I could have swore I seen this man in Toronto Raptors jersey. That's the only reason why I remember. He was on your team. But I didn't know he was new to your team. He was on the Nets before or something?
Yeah.
Or he was with New Orleans. He was with
New Orleans. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I think that's who it was.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I thought you were going to mess up there. When you said he used to play for us, I'm like, nope, he's right now.
I was sold.
You almost sold that. Oh, that was great.
That's funny.
All right. You made it to the impossible level, Jay.
Oh, jeez.
This is for a 10-pointer over here. Justin Champagnie, who he played for.
Justin Champagnie.
Not Julian.
I messed this up. I was just about to say, I messed this up with the San Antonio Spurs before, I think.
Justin Champagnie, who he played for.
Does Justin Champagnie play for the Philadelphia 76ers?
No, he got cut by them. I'll give you one more chance, though.
Dang it! Oh my God, TV! You seen the wheels turning though? Oh, okay.
I'll give you another chance just because he got cut by them like mid-offseason, but he joined another team.
Dang! Oh my God, bro! I thought I murdered that one. Oh, that makes it really hard there because I could have swore I was on that.
He signed a 3-year deal with the team and then got cut in July.
Wow, that's brutal. What the heck?
You got there. Justin Champagnie, former Toronto Raptor, former 76er, former Boston Celtic, who he played for. I think I gave you too much information. I even told you he used to play for the Boston Celtics. That eliminates another team, I guess.
Is he like a Cleveland Cavalier now?
Right conference, wrong team. He is not a Cleveland Cavalier. He is apparently a member, and I didn't know this until I did the research. He's a member of the Miami Heat now.
What the heck? Oh, that makes it even worse because the Philly pick felt so good, man.
The Philly pick was good. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Out of the possible 46 points, you passed 28 there. So
I'll take it.
You'll take it. Next week we have a new batch of players for you, just so you can get ready just so you can get ready for the new NBA season. So you know where even some of these role players end up going. But nice first round for Jay. Let us know down below if you played along, what you guys got on the quiz as well. It's a pretty good one. I think it's a great way to do as part of the season preview as well, just to see like where some of these guys move, because we don't pay attention. We know the big moves. We know where. We know exactly where Damian Lillard went. We know where all these other guys went. I don't think we talked about Davis Bertans being the 15th guy on the roster. But it's a good that we mentioned them on this quiz. So let us know down below what you guys got, because we have one more part of this next week. But Jay, we've reached another end of a fantastic episode. Thank you all for watching. What do you have to say to these beautiful people before we sign out?
Dude, just so you guys know, bro, TP ceases to amaze me. These quizzes, we don't talk about these before the show starts. We talk about the drafts, we talk about the topics, but we do not talk about these quizzes, man. This man ceases to amaze me when it comes to these. So, I mean, I hope you guys are playing along, because I've been enjoying the crap out of these. That was another one of those, man. We've done the back and forths. We've done a ton of different things, and this was another one where it's like, dang, I got to stay sharp, because, like, when it comes to these trades, I feel like I keep an eye on the trade machine, but now you got to really keep an eye on those other guys that go out in these transactions. Can't just focus on the big names. That was fun. Yeah. I'm enjoying myself, bro. And, I mean, the offseason's almost to an end. It's going to be kind of fun covering, like, consistent news and consistent basketball rather than kind of just, some of these other kind of middling topics. But we've had a really fun off season. And when NBA season really gets started, we'll be able to focus on, how these teams really come together and how they fit. I'm looking forward to this season kind of more than I have for the last couple of years. Like, I've always been an NBA fan. I've been a podcaster in this space for like the last 3 years. This might be the season that I am the most locked in, the most engaged for. And I hope that it reflects in my content this year because, like, there's a lot that I like about what this year could really look like.
100%, and we're gonna turn it up when the season comes around. We still have two more like weeks of preseason NBA content. We got the final 7 questions for the 21 Qs next week. We have our NBA award predictions episode in 2 weeks' time, which is gonna be pretty crazy. So you want to go check that out. And then when the NBA season comes around, we're gonna be recording 1 or 2 episodes a week. So you already know we're gonna turn up. And you're going to make sure you want to follow us on any of the social medias because we're going to be up to date on the news. You better be ready for that. So just remember to show your support on our personal channels, which are going to be revived for the season as well. Hit at the Knockdown J, at TV on Basketball. Those are going to be back up with the Daily NBA Picks Challenge, which is going to be returning, and also some other great content. So you want to go check us out on our individual pages. And then when it comes to Hit Your Free Throws Pod, the clips, the other series that we have going around, it's going to be pretty crazy, and you're going to know all of the crazy news happening on that page as well. So make sure you follow us on TikTok and Instagram for the best NBA content. Like I mentioned, 4 more episodes of the 2K Universe series coming up soon, so be on the lookout for that. Jay's going to be up with the clips pretty soon as well. And if you want to support the pod in any way possible, YouTube, like, share, subscribe. If you're listening on any of the podcast networks, subscribe, leave a review, all that good stuff. We really do appreciate all your guys' support. But we've reached another end of another fantastic episode. Thank you guys for watching. That's Jay over there. This is me, TV. We're signing out. Take it easy, guys. Peace.